Alrighty then. Guess what time it is? It's time for Ridiculous TV. Alright, we're gonna play some Tarkov because I like Tarkov, and then I might drop into some Helldivers in maybe an hour or two. And while we're doing this, I'm gonna listen to this podcast that I've been wanting to listen to. So I hope you enjoy. Right now, I'm gonna do a little PMC, and we're gonna check it out. We are gonna check it out. Alrighty. I need some equipment. So let's go get it. So I landed here, right? Which tells me somebody else landed in this building. Usually someone comes out of there. I'm gonna stay right here. And I'm gonna wait for anybody looking funny.
Good one.
Who's looking funny?
I'm on look, cover me. Nice work, fella.
So sometimes when you speak and the way they say it tells you if an enemy is nearby.
Nice move.
I think these are thoughts. Alright, there's never anything in the break room. Who's here? Who's here? I'm in the tree. Alright, let's get out of here. Alright, okay. Okay, alright. But I am gonna throw up this grenade launcher. Oh yeah, it's grenade launcher time. It's time for a grenade launcher. For a grenade launcher. Yeah, grenade launcher. Have you ever needed something so fine in your life? Have you ever needed something so fine? Yeah. Have you ever needed something so fine in your life that you always get what you want? Oh yeah. Let's see what's up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. Pretty quiet. Anybody coming out? Man, it's quiet around here, huh? Quiet around here, huh? Well, I guess I'll just have a Tarcola and call it a day. Mm-hmm. Alright, well, guess I'll be getting out of here. You know, maybe everybody's out, you know? Maybe everybody's just out on the streets. They're not in Ground Zero, you know? To the Nakasaki Dojo. Give me some of that Nakasaki Dojo. The Nakasaki, oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna go walk across the street now. Well, I'm gonna check these dead bodies here now. Yeah, tangerine. Fuck yeah.
Cover up with something!
Where are you, fool? Oh, that was sweet. 1, 2, 3, boom. Anybody else? Anybody else with the peanut? I love that they have inferior weapons. Alright, what you got? Sweet. All I know is this handgun is sick. I marked everything that I think is useful to me or that I can be really proficient in. And let me tell you something. It's been working. Alright, let's get out of here. We gotta get the frig out of here. Now the question is, do I go all the way across? Or do I dip through this building? Where are these guys? Where was that guy? Someone's moving.
Okay. That's more like it.
Where you at?
Going to pick up stuff. Cover me.
Come on. Alright, we gotta get out of here. Now, do I take the car extract? I feel like I want to take the car. We got some action. See, they're all going to those. While they're occupied with those guys, I feel like I can make my move. Now, do I want to go long haul or do I want to just go to that freaking... I feel like I want to go to the fireworks. Or the, I could run across this. I feel like I can run across this. Question is, where's that clear coming from? Well, these guys always like to hide in the freaking place right here. I always like to hide there. So I'm just gonna run across. Ready? See, they're over there. He's right there. Get out of there. Alright, so they're all hanging out over there. Nobody's down here. Alright, nobody's down there. I got all the stuff. I can take it. I can take it all out of here. I can take it all out of here. Let's go. Get out of here. Alright, so I'm gonna take the flare out of here because that's what's up. Anybody down there? Okay. Is there any weapons in here? Alright, everybody's in the heat of battle right now. Get down there.
Fucker, straight ahead.
Affirmative.
Run, run, run. I got beat up pretty bad. Shit, I don't have anything. It's time to get out of here. Shit. I don't think I'm gonna make it. But we'll be alright. Come on. Shit. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. 1 minute. I gotta last for 1 minute. Come on. Just drink all your water. Damn it, I'm dying too fast. Painkiller, 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 painkiller. Dang, I didn't have enough ammo. Well, I mean, I had bullets, but... Come on. Dang it, I didn't make it. Dang it. Dong it. Donkashane. I didn't make it. Damn it, those freaking guys got me. Ah, I didn't have enough bullets. I took out 2 out of 3 though. Man, how you gonna come in with a 3-man team and shit? And I only got 1 magazine. Dang it, that was a recon mission and I failed. They came out the back way. Damn. I should have went to the... Well, then I wouldn't have had all that cool stuff, you know? It's a trial and error, you know? Sometimes you think that was the best route. Maybe I should have went to the... Maybe I should have just went to the police extract. Damn, I was trying to go for that flare, and they were right there. Dang it. Stupid PMCs. Stupid PMCs.
When they came out with the Trump, when they came out with the Trump coin, I just sat there in silence thinking to myself, like, whoa, we've made it. Like, we're at peak clown world. So now looking back at it, like, I do wish in a way that I just like disconnected completely from crypto for the year of 2025, because the year started legitimately with a meme.
All right, so you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, 2026, it's a new year. You know, I'm going to be asking you about Chinese New Year. I believe it's what? It's a fire horse. It sounds super cool.
Yeah.
Fire horse, I'm all about it, whatever that means. We'll dive into, I got questions for you about Venezuela for fun, you know. The orange man, of course. Crypto, we'll dive into that, and we'll just chat. Like our talks are fun, at least for us.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it'll be good to catch up and just kind of get your viewpoint on the market. You just mentioned to me earlier, you're just seeing the clip I had posted on my channel, which had involved our chat talking about how November's probably going to cause some kind of pullback or top, but we're past November now, so how are we looking at markets? And it's a good time to check in and talk crypto, talk everything. So,
Absolutely.
you well, and how are you seeing things? Are you seeing the world? Are you seeing the markets? How are you seeing the shift into this new energy?
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, I'm doing better every day, and I'm really excited to reconnect with you. It's been a minute, and yeah, seeing that last video that you put out made me like instantly go, oh man, we gotta reconnect. We gotta talk about what's happening. We always have really interesting takes, I think, and we balance each other out, which I think is super important as your professional astrologer. And there's so much value that you bring to my work and also to the community that we have. But regarding this setup into the new year, I mean, I think 2025 was a snake year, and we know what a snake is symbolic of. So we had this elusive movement. We had weird kind of end of the year with gold, precious metals, with the silver rally. There's so much to talk about that too. And then obviously the stock market pushing into all-time highs. And then simultaneously we have crypto like in the doldrums. We just have everybody super fearful and very pessimistic and feeling like there's no hope. And I think you and I both know crypto well enough to kind of pause, push away from all the static and the noise, and then just see clearly that sentiment is massively important, particularly in the cryptocurrency asset class. So I think this year is like, where do you even get started, right? Where do we even get started? There's so many things that we could discuss, but what I will say to wrap up that stream of consciousness is like 2020 was so much like 2025, in my opinion, with the cyclical month-to-month performance, and then also the way the year finished out, besides specifically that crypto correction into December. But I think there's a reason for that. And it has to do with eclipses and the way that the eclipses are staggered. But I'll leave it there. I just think like that's a really good place for us to start, is the similarities between where Trump left his last term in that year of 2020, and then how Trump re-entered his second term. Split term, right? First time since Grover Cleveland. So what are some of your thoughts on that? Is there anything that you saw in the astrology back in 2020 that maybe mimics a little bit what we have in 2025? I know that's kind of like a Hail Mary pass type question, but I just wonder, in your opinion, because I found an overwhelming amount of synchronicities.
That's a really good question. It's one I'm not prepared for, which is why I love these talks with you.
Yeah. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No,
Yeah, by the way, everyone who's listening, Sama and I would love to call you a friend of mine. So when we're not doing these podcasts, we actually are just checking up on each other. Like, how you doing, man? Like, that's the kind of thing we have going on, which I truly value. So we're not like nerding out about fucking crypto and astrology on the sidelines. So yeah, it's great to be able to connect and actually talk shop in these settings. But yeah, I'm sure you're gonna ask me a lot of questions too that I'm just like not ever. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of why we have fun having these chats too, of just the freedom that you and I share, and just delving into these topics and not being surprised by what another has to share. I think that is the delight of consciousness in itself, and that's super cool. I think, whether you're playing a sport or doing whatever with somebody else, those kinds of genuine moments are really special. And
Yeah.
disappear. That's life, But
$1,000,000%.
I would say, to answer your question, 2020 had very heavy transits that were also shifting us from one way of being to another. We kind of go through that during the day. I was watching this video from Ryan Doris from the Flow Collective talking about these checkpoints in the day that kind of like close off how we're acting and our neurochemistry is for that portion, and shifts. We all experience it when we go to sleep and wake up and clear some of what we built up through the previous day, right?
I had
2020 had a lot of that, and so did 2025. But the difference with 2025 is that those shifts weren't complete. It was like we took a step, and then we said, actually, let's revisit this again. And then that's part of some of the pullback at the end of 2025, as well as that freshness of energy that came in during the summer, which is what allowed the big, beautiful, or ugly bill, depending on your portfolio's position, I guess, and just what you think of Trump. That got kicked off, and the QE that you and I talked about being the case for 2025. That's when it kicked in. But then we went back to these older energies, and we're going to shift into some of those permanently, which is very in accordance with even just the symbology of a fire horse. Again, I don't know about the stuff, and that's why I'm going to love to hear your opinion about it.
Sure.
When you and I decided to do this, I just randomly looked up a little bit about what the next year is going to be in the Chinese. And I just read something about horse where it was just saying that they start off the gate with a lot of energy and move very rapidly, and then get tired halfway through. And I'm like, this is what I'm saying 2026 is going to be. I would love to get his opinion on it, because it's like, back to what you said about sentiment, and I'm going to have to fully answer your question about the planets in a second, but you and I have both been in this game long enough to know that sentiment is never where it's at forever, and when sentiment gets to extremes, it's probably going to go the other way. It's generally a matter of time, right? And we can also, there's ways of us seeing this in the charts from a technical perspective. There's ways I have seen this from an astrological perspective. There's ways you have seen that from an esoteric, geometric perspective as well, right? So when we start seeing confluence, it's like, because we have that extra data, Pluto and Aquarius, it's all about data. The more you have, the more conscious you can be. And feel more comfortable about your positions and be more relaxed and be more understanding about where you're in the market. Which, as a side note, if you're just winging this and you're full of emotions with markets, like that's not a winning strategy. Like study a bit, learn a bit more about the mechanics so that you can be more relaxed. You know, take it upon yourself to have that responsibility to not be one of these sheep that get whipped around by emotional red clickbait headlines. They're very big in finance, and that started with, again,
And they're necessary. They're necessary. Like I think that was one of the things that we quickly talked about, like just wishing each other happy holidays, and then it's like talking about like quick like mention of whatever's happening. It's happening because it needs to happen. So coming back to that idea, like when we enter extremes, and also for the people that are like money worried, you know, and they're getting very emotional when markets go the opposite. Like just think about it like this. Imagine you started like to imagine you grabbed a dumbbell, right? Even like a 5 pound dumbbell. And then I told you to hold that in a straight line, just like horizontal to the ground. You'd only be able to hold that for so long before like gravity just takes its toll. I know maybe gravity isn't the best example. My point here is that like it will just take its toll on you, and you will eventually need to like just go back and reset. So even with the lightest weight possible, resets are necessary, right? Now crypto is like fucking 1,000 pound barbell that none of you can hold, including myself. So I don't cosplay as somebody who pretends that I'm like perfect here. Like at the end of the day, I'm just like an observer. And I see that, oh,
Yeah.
like people are getting real in their feelings right now. So that's when I need to be like, I gotta man up. Like that's always my
Yes.
role here. So people see me go more rogue when like things get very emotional because I'm like, I'm not gonna feed into this like prana harvest.
Yeah,
'Cause that's
exactly.
all it is.
That's
And
where
it's the
I'm
same
at,
thing when
baby.
shit's super exciting. I'm just like, I just disconnect because
Back
I
up.
can't, you know, like, and I hope that that inspires people to like see that, well, the reason I'm able to have like longevity in this game is because I'm not like, I don't have high blood
I'm
pressure.
not in it, yeah.
I'm not like consistently like, I'm not consistently like, just like like my swinging samurai sword in my central nervous system just for the sake of it. So this isn't new to our conversations. The last time we talked, we talked the same way. It's like get your emotional body set. Get yourself like centered again, like re-centered. Because it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have about these markets. You could be fucking like gluing your eyeballs to CNBC and like Michael Saylor's Twitter all fucking day. You could find a technical analyst that's 200 million times better than me. And it doesn't matter if you don't know how to take focused action. It doesn't matter if you don't have emotional sophistication. It just doesn't. So that's what I want to talk about for 2026. And regardless of how amazing your, you know, your astrology charts are, or how good my gematria decodes and all that I'm doing with my work, like it's fucking meaningless until you can recenter yourself and like adjust those particular things. So I know that might sound like a little winter, but I want to have emotional sophistication. It just doesn't. So that's what I want to talk about for 2026. And regardless of how amazing your, you know, your astrology charts are, or how good my gematria decodes and all that I'm doing with my work, like it's fucking meaningless until you can recenter yourself and like adjust those particular things. So I know that might sound like a little rough, but like that's why I say when people come to my live streams, it's like a sauna session, like we're detoxing together. But like, guess what? Like I'm sitting in there with you. Like the only reason I'm saying these things that I'm saying is because I'm in the process of detoxification too. Like you're not alone.
Not
I wish
alone.
somebody was fucking like Morgan Freeman's voice from the sky when I was getting all emotional about money, right?
For real.
I wish I was giving that talk. Like I wish I was getting that talk. But the funny part is like if you ask to be a leader, you're probably not going to get that talk. You're only going to be met with conditions that will make you feel into that idea. and then you'll have to be faced with it. So again, it's like a be careful what you wish for, because the last thing I'll say there is like I think a lot of people in 2024 when Trump won the selection, everyone started getting like super hyped up and like positive about this man. And I'm like, bro, like, you know this guy's a fucking politician, dog? Like, what are you doing? Why are you falling for this again?
Why are you
And then
falling
when
for
he
this
created his own, when they came
again?
out with the Trump coin,
How do you not
I just
know?
sat there in silence thinking to myself, like, whoa, we've made it. Like, we're at peak clown. So now looking back at it, like I do wish in a way that I just like disconnected completely from crypto for the year of 2025. Because the year started legitimately with a meme. Almost identical to the Dogecoin situation with Elon in 2021.
Yep, on
And I'm sure
SNL.
you remember that. I remember that vividly because that
Oh,
was my channel was operating at like in
vividly.
the first start of that. So now that like all the
That's how I know
memery
it's
is
all a
kind of washed
fucking
away,
game, and
I
they're
feel like
fucking
the
with
fire
us.
horse year, like this year that we're in right now, it's gonna have that effect.
You
that
gotta
brought
not
up.
be
Like, it's gonna
serious
be
about
very
this life, because
accelerated,
they are
and then
fucking
it's
with you.
it's just gonna gas out, and then all of these losses could
Have
be
fun.
very rapidly recovered, but that doesn't mean that like we're in a forever bull run and to just continuously expect higher and higher and higher and higher forever. Although I would love if we had a repeat of 2021 in a way, but that means that we only have a half a year to secure all of those disappointments of 2025. So it's the same thing that I just said with a little bit more of a image that we could look back at and go, oh, we saw that one. So yeah, man, I mean, it's a fascinating
Man, you see how they just wait right there?
fascinating sentiment reset that we just
Should have
went
got
through.
him.
For sure.
I had a
And,
feeling he was gonna
you
be
know,
there.
life goes on, right? So there's cyclical nature to everything. So if sentiment's
Life goes
bottoming out, that means
on.
it'll top out again. And that's essentially what I was touching on my last upload is no one's here and things technically look pretty good for how bad everybody feels about it. So it seems pretty quiet and dead, but
Yeah.
there's a lot from the astrological side of things and just the cyclical side of things that show once the liquidity that markets need come in, probably going to get pushed higher. And they're probably going to get pushed higher in a way where things pick up steam pretty quickly, and that can be pretty exciting and also pretty dangerous, considering where we're at with many of these markets. With the exception of crypto, a lot of the United States stock market is at all-time highs, and they're trying to cut and provide more liquidity to the system. It's not like they're not trying to do that. It's this weird push and pull politician drama that's being played out between the Federal Reserve and Trump, but it's not like either of them are our buddies or friends anyway, so it's not to be trusted. It's really to be understood as something that, because of where the American economy is, and I recently dove into this with Lada and in the recent yearly offering that I do. We need to understand that 2020 was very much a reset year in the sense that it came off of America having one of its best last years ever, which was 2019. And it was towards the end of that where the conspiring of things and this new changeover into things would occur. And you can't have people willingly take on a new system that is slightly or in many cases worse than what we're currently living through if things are going well. That's why resets and crises go together. So that's probably some of what you're feeling into with 2020 and 2025 is this sense of them trying to implement resets, but them not being fully implemented and taken off the table, but them being fully implemented this year. And one of the things we witness is a lot of money printing as a part of that reset in 2020. We're seeing that beginning to kick off in 2025, and that's going to be more of a story this year as well. The thing about money printing is historically it happens after the market has crashed, and we're not quite there yet. So that's why this is very confusing for people, because both things are still happening. It's just the timing's a little off. We still have the American economy that isn't doing well, even though the stock market is going up. That's about to come crashing down as they print rates, because a market that is falling and isn't doing well needs rates cut and to push the market up. That's how they respond to things. And the reason that's happening is due to this dual mandate thing they have where they're looking at unemployment. So that's where the astrology, and I'm curious about the gematria side and how you're viewing it, gets interesting, because Uranus in tropical Gemini, Pluto in tropical Aquarius. This is saying this AI revolution is, this wave is coming, and it's going to behave the way other disruptive energetic revolutions occur. You have a boom and you have a bust, and it takes a while. And then the darlings make way later. You know, Amazon during the dot-com bust was a fucking ebook company, right? It wasn't selling groceries, that's for sure, in the 90s and early 200s, right? So AI will behave the same way. And within the next 2 years, probably this starting with a violent pullback this year, we will probably see a lot of what's happening with AI go the way of the dot-com bubble, fizzle itself out, and we'll see some darlings come through out of that really reshape the way we all have to approach work, to where they might,
bro, how we have to do our relationships. Like, there's a lot of lonely people out there right now. Yeah, man, fuck, it's crazy. Sorry to cut you off, but like, it's not just the finances and the jobs, it's everything.
It's everything. It really is everything. Aquarius is a human sign, which means it pertains to all things human, all things related to consciousness, and it is the manipulation of consciousness that we're going to be dealing with at a very deep, heavy level for the next 20 years, which is very interesting to somebody like me, but it's for better or worse. I mean, we're talking about governments who really mastered propaganda throughout the 1900s, now using crazy tech to weaponize things that they are really already fucking good at. So that's going to be super weird, like, because it's already super weird now, you know? Like, you have a lot of people waiting for a new world order, not realizing we've been in one. Coming to an end, and like 3.0 is like, it's not like the first one's on the way. It's like, no, like it's
we're like,
new generation is about to be like, that's some of the most terrifying part of what's happening. But it's also, again, with crisis comes opportunity, and if that's how some of consciousness is looking at this, there's really no reason for us not to either, in terms of like, there are some really great opportunities from family, friends at an individual level as well, you know. And so I like comparing this stuff a lot to weather. All right, you know winter's coming, you just fucking prepare for it. It's not like you just collapse entirely and go without clothing or heat, you know. You adjust. It can be fine. Snow can be fun. Winter can be fun.
That's more like
in
it.
some ways, you know, especially if you're prepared for it.
yeah, learn how to adapt. Like, I think that's my thing that I was talking about all in the end of 2024, moving into 2025. When I launched my university, I was like basically just trying to awaken this inspiration inside of people to change the way that they look at how they invest their money and their time, and how the most important investment of all is the investment in yourself. And if you're putting all of your money into the crypto market or the AI, you know, stocks or mining stocks or whatever, like, that's really where you kind of, no offense to anybody who's listening to this, but that's where you fuck your life up. Like, you like, I don't want to keep it too philosophical today, unless we naturally go there, but like, to just continue on your point, if you keep behaving like that in this year, I'm sorry, but like, it's getting real close to where you're gonna need to correct that behavior, because it's like not correcting that behavior leading up to all of the changes that we you're laughing, bro. I can't get because, you know, I just said with the
It's so
Ross, I
true.
said there.
It's so true, man. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Nice work,
Yeah,
fella.
like,
Affirmative.
I just really want people, like, I want people to see where I'm coming from. Like, I'm not doing this because I want to hurt people's feelings. Like, again, it's part, I just call it detox. Like, we're all detoxing, and detoxing's painful. Like, if you've ever done a heavy metal detox or a parasite cleanse or an extended dry fast or water fast, like, or if you've done some psychedelics, you know it's like, it's fucking painful, bro. It gets painful, and you must realize that pain is not you losing money because you aped into some like meme coin. That's not pain. That's avoiding real pain. That's avoiding the real pain that will come. Okay? So you have to realize that everything is like the conditions that you're dealt with. And I mean, I know I spoke honorably last year, and although the university was kind of just in small little cohort runs, I'm changing up the game this year. I have a new thing coming out. We'll talk about that later, maybe. But like, my vision is to continue to inspire people that things are not going to get better for purely investors in speculative markets. Things will never get better for you, unfortunately. And I know why, because look at the guys who live on Wall Street. Dude, they have more money than you ever make in like 10 of your lifetime. But meanwhile, they're blowing it all on hookers. They are cheating on their wives. They have a horrible coke habit. They have terrible health markers. Like, you name it. They're living in fight or flight. They're horrible fathers to their children. They avoid the role of being a father. Like, is this what you want? Is this what you want? You want to stare at a screen all day, watching candlesticks go up and down?
Yep. Yeah. You can
That's
leave
what you
your
want to dedicate.
house in Connecticut and do it, but you will have horrible. Your posture's all fucked. You're still getting fucked with dopamine, looking at the screen.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
just
that's
get
like
a couple mil, you blow it on hookers and blow.
Yeah, on your
You're
Lamborghini.
still on the hamster, even though you got a couple more zeros. You know, it's
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to teach people,
Still-
bro. Like,
it's the mind, and you exist
yeah.
on your own, and that's what's producing your reality. And so, the best thing to do is to get to the root of it and
Nice
clear
move.
get your mind in order, and then
100%.
it kind of cascades from there. And you
Okay,
go,
I'm
oh,
on it.
my relationship to portfolio, crypto, the energies that come through all of it becomes completely different.
1,000,000%. And I've been in a situation before where I had like the financial side was all good in the hood, but then the other things were not. And in 2025, I really committed to like this year, I'm gonna put all the other things over crypto and over investing. And like, I'm fucking loving life, bro. Like, I love like I love every day. I hear people, quote unquote,
Marvelous.
peers of mine who are decoders. They're like, we're in a prison planet. I'm like, what prison? I love this shit. This is dope. Like, my mom never has to work again. Like, I'm not worried. What are we talking about? Like, why are you acting like that? Oh, well, I see what you dedicate all of your life to is just like these speculative investments. So getting back to the original point, Year of the Horse is not forgiving. It is not forgiving. Year of the Snake, it was not forgiving. In my opinion, Year of the Dragon, it was a little bit more. But I think what we're moving into this particular year, one thing to say for the people that are really into Chinese zodiac or that system, a lot of people in that world, they talk about the enemy sign of Bitcoin's year being the horse year. But we went through this already with the, and I'm not trying to like, people are gonna hear what I'm saying and they're gonna isolate the guy who's famous for talking about this, and I don't want to do that. My point that I'm getting to though is the reason I avoided that type of decoding system when I was doing my year of the sorry, it's actually I did a decode called the Black Moon decode. If you remember, we had a Black Moon in December of 2024, right after Trump won the selection. So in my year of the Dragon decoded, I talked a lot about that setup into the movement into the year of 2025, and there was so much stuff coming up for Trump, and then obviously Kamala became part of the conversation. And to just get to the point of this whole practice, when I was creating my decode to talk about the selection between Kamala and Donald Trump, so many people were telling me, well, she's gonna win because it's Trump's enemy year.
It's too, yeah, I mean, that's too.
The year of the year of the dog. They were saying it's his enemy year. And I was thinking, like, that's how we decode? We just isolate like one. It's like isolating Mercury retrograde and then disregarding everything else, right?
That's where consciousness is at. We do that with everything.
Yeah. So to wrap up,
vitamins, like, oh, I'm gonna take vitamin C today. Like, bro, eat an orange. You know, like,
yeah,
get a comprehensive, get everything you need.
yeah. That's. Oh man, I literally just talked about that. It's so funny you bring that up because I brought that up in my group coaching call yesterday in my university. Like I was trying to say how man's biggest weakness and like man's biggest folly is isolation. It's isolating everything down to the quark. And we see this again. Like I was talking about amino acids because somebody asked me a question about protein and the idea of complete protein, and I'm like, this is man's like biggest fault, how we like are just like arginine, you know, L-carnitine, leucine. It's like this is such a meme how humans get, but I learned that the system that rules over us likes to razzle dazzle us. Like it likes to speak in big words, and this is how they spellcast you. So when they start bringing up all this shit, you disregard the fact that it's not even whole food anymore. It's dead powder that sits in a laboratory all day. Yeah, bro, we could talk forever
Oh
about
my
that
God,
shit too.
like that.
Yeah, let's save that. Let's save that. Let's save that. Let's save that. Let's save that because that's deep shit. That's deep shit. But I talked about that for like 20 minutes in our group coaching call yesterday, and it was amazing. But getting back to the year of the horse stuff in this 2026 year and the ideas of why I am not entertaining the whole it's the enemy year of Bitcoin, and how also, and this is going to be really powerful when I'm going to finish this up with, but I did my Trump decode. I said Trump's winning no matter what. Like I don't care about this dog year of the dog enemy sign. This is nonsense. This is again, it's just isolating one thing and it's disregarding the whole. So that went my way clearly, and but what I was reminded of in the whole decoding process was 2014. It was a really bad year for Bitcoin. And a lot of people in my community are like, Waters, aren't you expecting 2014 to mirror for 2026? And I've been, for the last 6 months, I've been having to tell them, like, no. And the reason why is because the eclipse setup isn't the same. In my opinion, that's like one of my main things that I do for my work with regards to energetics is I look at the way the eclipses are staggered throughout the year, and then I start adding elements around that, and then of course there's a whole complete system, but I personally like focusing on the eclipses. So
No different.
I could pull up a chart a little bit later if you want to get into that, but this made me feel like no, 2026 is not going to go like 2014 in my opinion. I might be wrong. Of course, there's always room for being wrong here, but I don't see the similarities. And if you look at 2013, we were nothing like 2013. Actually, 2013 Bitcoin chart was the opposite of what we had this year. Do you want me to show you that real quick?
Yeah, go for it. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna pull up something on eclipses. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I actually wasn't super prepared, but let me do this. No, it's all good. It's all good.
I mean, we both aren't, so I was using it as an opportunity to get my stuff. There you go.
So you're looking at my eclipse chart here. I know we've probably talked about this on past podcasts that we've done together, and this is my life's work pretty much summarized in a single chart for Bitcoin. I don't believe that I'm the inventor of this, like anything. I believe there's probably been 100 people before me, but my mistakes and my like corrections and refinement over the years led me to this right over here in this time frame when we had, I'll tell you the moment, it was during a total lunar eclipse when Terra Luna collapsed. And I said to myself, this is a fucking simulation. We're in a simulation. Like this is all a simulation. All right. Which, by the way, the shit with Michael Saylor recently, it was all tied to this eclipse. So it's just a mirror effect of the FTX situation. We have Michael Saylor getting ritualized at November, and then we have FTX Sam Bankman-Fried getting ritualized in November. But To zoom out and get to the 2014 situation, this was 2014 over here. We were in a lunar cycle, so we have the red boxes are lunar cycles, and you'll see this is the year of the horse starting. No, I'm sorry, not the year of the horse. This is the start of the lunar cycle. It was on a total lunar eclipse in April 2014.
About to say that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the year of the horse kicking in would have been over here Jan Feb of 2014. It's typically the months that it's in. So I'm not going to combine all of these things together because it's too complicated. This is already quite an intricate and complicated concept, but you're seeing in Bitcoin that it tops in the last green box of every cycle, and then it bottoms right around the final lunar eclipse of every lunar cycle. So we have a top in the green in the last box before moving into a lunar cycle. Then we have our bottom around the final lunar eclipse of a lunar cycle. Here we had a top in 2021 right before the start of the lunar cycle. Then we have a bottom on the final lunar eclipse of a lunar cycle. Here we had our top for the entire cryptocurrency market before the start of the lunar cycle. This was not unexpected, by the way, the fact that we went higher after that second eclipse, because I called out that we've done that before. What was similar were these two. What was different was altcoins topped all over here. And then like, actually, no, that I guess in a way is similar. It's just we had a weird alt cycle where we saw rotations in the mist. Like even Zcash had a rotation like, what was it, 3 months ago? Whilst when privacy coins, when we look back to Q4 in 2024, privacy coins weren't doing shit. But we saw all the projects like XRP, HBAR, Algorand, XDC, like they were all popping off. So long story short here is that the final lunar eclipse of the lunar cycle, I believe, is March 2026, and if that is to be fact, and that's hard for me to commit to because this August one is, well, let's just say we've only had one time in Bitcoin's history where we had this same setup of eclipses, and it was over here in 2015, right over here. Now, what's so interesting was that was the same combo of going from snake year to horse year. And then obviously we have a bottoming structure that was also insanely arduous. Like you would have hated to be at this fucking bottom. This cycle for Bitcoin was 600 days of a bear market. And technically it kept going. Like depends on how you call it, not a bear market anymore, but the break of structure and like the recovery structure moving into a bullish structure, that's like 700 days. That is not the same as the experience that we had in our last cycle. Bitcoin's been like fucking doing amazing. Like you said earlier, we're at peak extreme fear, but Bitcoin's at 90K. That's insane. So to get to the point here, this chart is everything to me. It's like my guide. It's my, I don't even know what to call it. Like it's my North Star. Right. So I'm not convinced that 2014 is going to be the same. And what I love about this chart is it shows that we bottomed right before that third lunar eclipse in the month of January. And actually, I think I skipped, I'll push it over to you in a second, but I think the whole reason I pulled up this chart was to show the opposites. How April of 2013 in the snake year, we had a major pump, and then April this year of the snake in 2025, we fucking crashed. Then if you see where that low pivot is in July of 2013, crypto was up. XRP hit a new all-time high. We had Solana breaking. Everything looked amazing for the most part, but this was a low. Then we go to November, December. We were crashing through this whole time frame. And look at the pivot. The pivot is October. So we hit our quote-unquote all-time high for Bitcoin in October. A lot of altcoins stopped there. And then after October 10th, we had a liquidation ritual, and then we crashed all the way into this exact time frame. So if we were opposite of what we did in 2013, well, just use this as your, just consider this could be helpful for us in determining the energetics moving forward for 2026 when we look back at 2014. So we see bearish as fuck into March.
Mhm.
We see also bearish into April.
Mhm.
Then we see bullish into June.
Take cover!
There could be something here, but I wouldn't isolate this solely because I always consider the eclipses uber alles. Eclipses overall. Nothing is more important. So if I see that we're pushing up against this final eclipse, to me, I think we've had enough bearish altcoin vibes. And I think the altcoins that are not going to make it have already not made it. So if you look at stuff that hasn't recovered from 2022 crash, that shit's toast forever. Like most gaming coins, I think, are a good example because we're seeing the trend pivot to AI and etc. But yeah, man, I'll push it back to you. If you find anything for March beyond the eclipses, it'd probably be super valuable for people to understand this energetic kind of eclipse season ahead.
Yeah, so this is where I, as a novice to your craft, have some questions that might be useful to other novices like myself. Explain the difference between the eclipses in your system. Like, I know the Chinese system is more based on the moon itself.
Yes.
As someone who studied different branches of astrology, there's different ways of looking at the places the moon is in. Some people call them lunar mansions, right? In
Yep.
Vedic astrology and in the oldest texts, which need to be literally be translated from Sanskrit to really understand how they were looking at stuff, not this weird modern Indian stuff. No offense to
Yeah, yes.
some of that's just not as accurate as texts that have been lost or
Sure.
the most accurate. And
Nice work, fella.
those look at what are called nakshatras, and that's what they call them. There's like 27. Some say there's 27 and a half, but there's a split of 27, right? And the moon's weird, right? Sometimes it's 28 days, sometimes it's doing other things. Like there's
That's more like it.
does weird movements, right?
Just
But-
like we're weird.
right, exactly. So my question to you is, how are you guys differentiating between the different types of eclipses? Is it by labeling each year?
Mhm.
I've also noticed each year has a different element tied to it. So what makes the analysis of the 2014 eclipses different from 2026 in your system? Because then I can dive into how I do that in mine and why I
Yep.
have to use
Yep,
that
yep, yep.
eclipses.
Yeah, so basically the way that I set it up is that we have total eclipses or annular eclipses. Then we have partial, penumbral. We have many types of eclipses. And I prioritize in my system total or annular solar eclipses and total lunar eclipses. I do not prioritize necessarily partial, even if they're close to full. Even if close to full partial lunar eclipses. And that's where even in my own community, which I love this, by the way, about our community, is they learn this system and some great analysts and decoders push back on me. And they're like, Waters, well, you're disregarding the partial lunar eclipse that's coming up in August. And I'm like, I fucking love you guys. Because very few people even, first of all, push back and have something valuable besides just some nonsense, trolling. So that is one thing that I think allows me to go, okay, well, what was the past like? And what allowed me to identify these eclipses in the posture that, like, what allowed me to label them? And that's your question, correct? So this setup is first and foremost, priority is total eclipses. And what we see is here was a total solar eclipse in October 2023. Then we had the total solar eclipse 2024, total solar eclipse October 2024. This was a total lunar eclipse in March 14th of 2025. And what's powerful about this is it also needs to consider the order of the eclipses because we usually have them paired, right? We'll have a solar and a lunar maybe a couple weeks apart, typically. So I am always considering where the Gregorian, I know this is just me simplifying it for people.
Yeah.
Because the Gregorian year is fake, okay? But that's what we use, and that's what we all agree on, right? So what's the system here is in the Gregorian year that we are analyzing, the posture or the placement of that total eclipse and how it's staggered. So, for example, the year of 2026, the first eclipse we will have of 2026 is a annular solar eclipse. That is fucking weird. That makes this either the shortest lunar cycle ever, or that means that that combo of eclipses of the annular solar eclipse on February 17th, followed by the total lunar eclipse on March 3rd, we haven't seen that in a decade. So that's going to give us something different, something that is very difficult to quote unquote predict if we were to isolate the system solely. So if we just look back at 2021, for example, that year, the first total eclipse of that year was a lunar eclipse. So it starts your lunar cycle. And then we have at least 3 to 4 total lunar or total solar eclipses in each cycle. Crazy thing about 2026 and beyond, by the way, guys, is after the March 3rd, this is very important. After the March 3rd total lunar eclipse, we will not have another total lunar eclipse until New Year's in 2029. So that is going to be a crazy new year, by the way, because on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day from 2028 moving into 2029 will be the next total lunar eclipse. And if you haven't figured it out already, lunar eclipses are not good for the crypto market specifically, and things that are more modern, in my opinion, more like the tech side of stuff. So did I answer your question regarding the eclipse?
Yeah.
What's allowing me to label it?
Yeah, for sure. So how it's done in astrology is so we do look at the total versus annular, partial, and many astrologers look at all of them. Some will, like you're mentioning, bias towards the total, but I would say in general, I've seen astrologers generally lean towards looking at all of them. And
Yes, I do look at all of them, but I don't make they're not my priority.
Sure. And that makes sense, you know. And
Yep.
just a quick note to that is for consciousness, right? Make your own system. Like you know, if other people want to pay attention to different data points and it helps them with their end goal, so be it.
A million percent. This is why I honor my community for the few people who have the guts to call out and share their take on the partial eclipses that have happened, and I love it. I think it's great.
Nice work,
But for me,
fella.
it's like, if I were to look at what's the most important, I love like Pareto's principle. So I could entertain past the 20% of the most important stuff, but what got me here was focusing on the 20%. It's like why I don't do Elliott wave, because I don't necessarily like I use Wyckoff method, and that's got me this far. I've only grown in my understanding and consciousness and wealth. So why use 17 different systems if I have one that works? It's like it's just it doesn't make any sense to start entertaining all this other. I would call that a distraction, actually. I would say that the biggest discipline in life is to find a system that you resonate with and become a master of it.
100%. So what makes eclipses interesting in terms of how I look at it and how we look at it in astrology, because like you said, there's different ways that this can be used by different people. There are the 12 different zodiac signs, which are going to be made up of the 4 elements themselves behaving in different ways, going through a beginning phase, a middle phase, an end phase. That's what gives us the 12 signs, right? When the eclipses are in each sign, they take on the characteristics of that sign and they affect them. They affect the characteristics of those signs and what those signs represent and correspond to throughout the 3D and the other dimensions as well. So what does that mean? Right. The eclipses, for example, when they occurred in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius, what are these signs? What does that mean? And I'm using the tropical zodiac as a note. Sometimes I get comments on my videos that say, you're using the wrong zodiac. And to our point before, great, go use the right one for you. But in the eclipses that occurred in Gemini and Sagittarius during the COVID years, we saw that churches were shut down. We saw that universities were closed. We saw that law order structure was being released, undone, letting go. Because what we call the South Node, what some call K2, the back part of the eclipses, right? That stuff is being basically excreted or let go of, whether humanity likes it or not. Then the other point of the eclipses would then be Gemini, which is completely different energy. That's the element of air that is changing or moving. Well, we would say that the elements are either in a fixed state, so to speak. Nothing's really fixed, but they're either fixed, they're either building, or they're decaying, which the Vedas would call like sattva and tamas and rajas, right? Beginning, middle, end. Generating, operating, destroying, God, right? Things rise, they fall, right? And so in the sign of Gemini, we're talking about movable air. So what that would represent then is quick information, media, right? The internet itself, social media. We saw the price of tech stocks and social media companies skyrocket, whether it was Snapchat or Twitter, right? We saw Zoom become very popular. We saw classes for the first time for kids being taught on Zoom. There was home computer-based learning. There was a karmic pull in that direction to do more Gemini things, whether people liked it or not. So that's what we're looking at in astrology is where are the eclipses located? Because they're going to tell us, we're going to be pulled more this way, and we're going to have to let go of the opposite 180-degree part of the axis. All right. And what's interesting about where the eclipses are moving, this eclipse season in February and March is, sometimes this happens, not every time. So it's not as infrequent, but it's not always. We have this not so often occurrence where we have the eclipses happening in the signs of Aquarius and Leo. Well, it's the North Node is affecting Aquarius in February on the 17th. But instead of it being the other sign of Leo on March 3rd, we're going back to the previous signs we're currently in now, where the South Node is going to be in Virgo again. So it's like we're moving back and forth between these two zodiac signs. And that's some of what was happening last year as well, where planets wanted to move forward into one sign and they moved back, where it was like, again, that new energy in July, August, September, and we went back to this old kind of slowdown that occurred and that people have kind of been feeling through. But now those planets are making their way back towards where they were in June, July, August, around that time frame. So there will be that moving forward, but yet the eclipses are doing this back and forth.
Alrighty
why that's very
then.
interesting to me is because the first series of eclipses with the North Node in Aquarius, those tend to bring an increase. They tend to bring shocks and volatility, but the North Node wants to bring increase.
Okay.
And then we move back to those two previous zodiac signs that we're currently in now, which says the market has room to stay alive to me. And why this is important, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and tell you why. Because when the eclipses are firmly situated in the zodiac signs of tropical Aquarius and Leo, that's not really a good sign for United States markets. It historically has not been. Okay. This is a part of a presentation I was just talking with Lada, whom some of you guys know. I occasionally will go on our channel and do interviews where I feel compelled to rant about finance, but I want to draw your attention to this chart over here. I know it's hard to read, but this is the symbol of Leo, which is a fixed fire sign, and down here is a sign of Aquarius, which is a fixed air sign. And what this chart is telling us is that for each year and a half, each 18-month period, the nodes of the moon, which actually cause the eclipses, will move through each sign. And when the North Node, which in Vedic astrology, they describe it as a dragon, right? So this dragon has a mouth, and it's got a stomach and a digestive system, and it's consuming things and it's letting go of things. That's one way to visually symbolize the fact that one end of the axis is being let go of, one zodiac sign is being let go of, and the other 180 degrees, something's being sought after. Okay, so keeping that symbology in mind, when the North Node, or the mouth of the dragon, is in the sign of Leo. Prosperity is super high. It's above normal. Prices are above trend. That continues until we get right around here to where the mouth of the dragon, the north node, gets into the sign of Taurus. Then prices are more normal. They stabilize until they make their way down to Aquarius, in which prices go down. They bottom out. They're as low as they're going to be. And then the cycle kickstarts itself again for another 9 years until the north node ends back up in Leo to complete this 18-year loop. This is one of many cycles we can look at astrology, right? But this is one that is very much correlated to the United States stock market in particular. Why this is important is the north node is moving into Aquarius, which means the south node, the excretory part of what the cosmos is doing, will move into the sign of Leo, which rules kingdoms, speculation, betting, believing in things, bullishness in general, right? The ability of your portfolio to do well. And historically, the last time this occurred was 18 years ago, right in the middle of the great financial crisis. So what's interesting to me is that the eclipses themselves won't be fully situated there with the south node in Leo quite yet to start this year off, which is to say we are going into an eclipse series of 18 months in which rally's got to end, people. We got to pack it up. And not only we got to pack it up, it might even look like 2008, and I'm predicting it's going to look worse for that time being. But again, these are 18-month windows. Then the trend starts to move to the upside, right?
Are you saying that you feel that 2026 is? Were you saying that 2026 is going to be akin to the like the subprime mortgage crisis? Like you believe it's going to go like that? Or I'm sorry if I got confused there.
So what I'm saying is the last time the nodes were in that position, that's what we were living through. That was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you look at what charts and indices did then, is they were at all-time highs before things fell out, right? So
can I share something though that I think will be valuable to add on top of this?
yeah.
So whatever people believe here regarding who runs the world and the markets, it's pretty clear that it's banks, right? And the bloodlines tied back to banking. And what's so important about 2008, the year that you are bringing up, was that it was a Shemitah year, right? The 7-year cycle. And when we look back at the last time we had a major crisis and like reset across the board, it was during 2020, right? So we had the C-19 crash, but that also created an insane opportunity for people to speculate. We saw oil go to negative per barrel, like absolutely insane, right? So we could keep going on this trend every 7 years. So you have 2021, you minus 7 years, you get to 2014. Then you're going to start to see this pattern, this behavior in markets where every 7 years on that particular Shemitah year, you have a reset. So the one before that was the dot-com bubble in 2000. And this is why I'm forward-looking from 2021 plus 7, you get to 2028. But just remember, for anyone who's listening here, the Shemitah year is occurring on Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year. So the Hebrew calendar is also utilizing the moon as much as they utilize the sun.
That's
And
right.
that means from September 2028 through September 2029, we're going to have a sabbatical year. And that year right there is always a reset. But one thing that's fascinating about that year is that's usually a major sell time frame, like a very major sell. And we could see, you look back at 2022 at the very start of the year, it was a major top for pretty much everything. And then we had a massive collapse. So I can actually
The year I was distracted.
see that this rally goes on for an uncomfortable amount of time. Because it's 2026, we're just starting. What if they continue to just kick the can down the road more and more and more to this perfect timing of 2029, moving into Sustainable Agenda 2030? Like, what if they were to do that and in the process sacrifice stuff? You know, like where it's 2026, we might have that housing problem, for example, or we might have another sector drop out, or we might have, but I'm thinking like the overall market, it might continue to go up for, and that's not me being optimistic and like a permable. It's just me looking back at the 7-year cycle and thinking also in 2026, or sorry, in 2006, people were already calling tops, you know, and then we had a major continuation. Like, so this is a crazy market, and I think it could do something where we can be smart and assume like, oh, this might be the end. And I think all of my work last year, I was preaching that a lot. I was super bearish on 2026. And then I saw how 2025 went and how confusing it was to watch stock market continue up, crypto do pretty much nothing but melt down. Precious metals had this insane breakout at the end. And now looking back at it all, I'm like, oh, 2026 is gonna be that year where everyone wants there to be this like insane market crash where everything, you know, even the dollar collapses. I'm not putting words in your mouth, by the way, but I'm feeling that like opposite kind of effect is going to occur, just like in 2025. A lot of people were like, Trump's the crypto president, we're going to continue up, 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 and it's like it didn't go that way.
I'm totally with you. I'm going to add some nuance to what I'm saying here because I think it's needed. I don't disagree with anything you just said, by the way. My view is that, and again, you can see sentiment. We were just talking about it earlier. Starting to come back now, but I think that's going to fizzle out as we get into eclipse season, right?
Yeah.
I told my own newsletter community January is going to be bullish. I told them that Christmas things are going to turn. That's what we're seeing, right? And so there's momentum to these things, right? The momentum of this push up is going to probably fizzle out or hit something in eclipse season to where we see a pullback or we see an extension. Either or, I'm cool. I don't really care. You know, the overall view of what I'm seeing though is we go up, and a lot of people on the sidelines, and they're like, "Fuck, I've been on the sidelines," and they chase it, and then we correct. That's essentially my view of the year, and so that's why I mentioned earlier. I found this description of the horse and all that very interesting. Not that that's my area of expertise, but how I'm seeing the charts and what I'm hinting at with these eclipses is that we're not fully situated with the nodes in Aquarius and Leo to start the year, but we will be in 2027, you know. And so as we have this eclipse season of 18 months and go through from this year and the next, what I'm saying about 2007 and 2008 is that there were people on the sidelines saying, oh, this rally and it needs to end, just like they did in 2025 about Bitcoin, right? And there's a lot of people who, unfortunately, they don't own any real assets. They just have alts. And, you know, they're underwater as well, looking at this and feeling like, well, I haven't made any money and now Bitcoin's topping out, so this thing must be over. And that is just not how markets work. You can't be bearish when the year was bullish and then think, now I'm bearish in 26, now I'm going to be like, that's not how markets behave, unfortunately. It's just not. So like we were saying about sentiment, it's likely things push to the upside. But when people start chasing that, that's when to go the other way. And so what I'm saying is we're likely to see that this year is people chasing until things start to go the other way. Now, in terms of what you're saying about the Shemitah years and 2028, 2029, and how this thing could keep on going, these are things I talk about factually and have been talking about that helped the predictions I made last year when the whole Doge thing was happening and the market started pulling back. And I could have done a lot more preaching about it, but like you said, you know, I was in the same boat to where the way my chart is being affected is, for me, it was to spend more time with family last year, and I'm still kind of going through that. And to be all public. So I came out in February and said, this thing's going to go lower, but people are going to panic. I wouldn't power print it. That's the story. And that is what happened. The printing is not done. Markets live off of liquidity and policy.
Right.
right? So if they just ended qualitative tightening in December, that's why we're seeing the market start to move, people. These are slow cycles, and people are, again, so locked into the myopia of the day to day that they cannot think on a 12-week basis of, oh, it takes 12 weeks for liquidity to move into crypto. Like, fuck, bro. Like, they just started printing in December. Like, check back in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
do not have the stamina or patience to think that or do that. But when you get trained to look at markets that way, it's just so much more relaxing. So when I see things moving up in January right now, it's not like I'm overly excited about it. It's just like, oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't get excited about this shit right now, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
So-
because we're moving into an eclipse season. So
exactly. And so they're
Yeah.
gonna play with us, right? They're gonna play with the markets, and energetically, we're gonna be open to those manipulations if we're unaware about that anyway, right? So these are things to keep in mind. So to wrap up this whole money printing thing is, until we hear that that's changing, and we shouldn't be hearing that, because why do they print money? What gives them the excuse to do that? Is unemployment's going up or inflation's going up? And for the more nerdy finance people who have been following me know that I've been saying they're gonna get rid of this whole inflation down to 2% bullshit. That's just to make the public feel better about what they did in 2021. They spent the whole decade of the 2010s saying we don't have enough inflation, but nobody knows that or remembers that. Like, they wanted high inflation that whole decade. They couldn't do it. They needed a reset to jack that shit up to 8% before the public was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Well, people have lived through much higher inflation in this country, and we're going there again, which means massive money printing, which means, back to your point about things pushing into 2028, 2029, just because I see a crash occurring doesn't mean it's going to be this long, drawn out recession. I'm saying that we saw violent, strong pullbacks in 2008 that were very drastic. And
Yep.
we could see that, but in a more compressed time frame because of the amount of money that is currently being printed now. And like I said earlier as well, the money printing when our economy is falling usually happens after the market has fallen, not before. But depending on how they respond to this, the cuts are still going to keep coming, particularly if we have a crash. They're just going to flood the fucking system.
Yep.
And that's the Neptune and Aries story that I've also been talking about. Not as much, but historically Neptune and Aries is very inflationary, and that's a 14-year transit. So in my book, massive money printing, which is a multiple on what was done on 2020, which led to 8% inflation. So we're going to see more than that, which is not good news for people who are blind to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you are in the market, well, that inflation is going to your portfolio.
Yeah. And what you're mentioning is, like, we do have to all remember that there's like crash last year, the tariff crash that was a V-shaped recovery. So we could absolutely have something like that in 2026, and 2027 and 2028, and keep moving up in the whole fucking process. So that's what we're dealing with today with all this leverage and the ease of access to investing. With, we could just like pop on our mobile phone, open up an app, and quickly make some moves. Back in the day, that wasn't really a thing. And also, imagine selling a house. You're not selling a house right now, by the way. If you're trying, you're struggling. And it's crazy. My grandma reached out to me about a year ago, and she's living in Florida, and mentioned, I'm trying to sell my condo. And I said, you're fucking late.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to me last year. And I'm like, why didn't you trust me last year? I get paid to do this. Why are you not listening? Like, and yeah, no, but that's how, yeah, that's always how it is. And you know, I love her, and I was very honest with her, and I said, Grandma, like, this is what I get paid. This is what I do. You're gonna get in with the herd trying to de-risk this garbage that you have. Like, it's technically garbage. So this, in my opinion, is like, we're watching everything go through the extremes, but it's sequenced in a very fascinating way. So I think this melt up in precious metals is a warning, in many ways. I think the consistent crashing vibe of crypto for pretty much the last full year, we're going on like 400 days of it right now for most altcoins. That's getting to a place where it's so depressing that it's making me insanely bullish. But with that being said, I do think we're going to have 60, 70% crashes in altcoins over and over again until we get to the next euphoric event, which the next euphoric event could show up this year just because of how depressing it was for the last 2025. But I believe we're more alike in our investment thesis because we can realize that they're just using things like crypto to play with retail because it's a new opportunity to play cat and mouse. And one other thing to mention that I've just become like enlightened to is it's like all the degen stuff that was going on at Pump Fun and all the memery that was happening at Q4 2024 has now moved over to Polymarket. And now everyone's doing that type of betting, you know? Like people are betting on like when do you think Donald Trump's gonna take his next shit?
Yeah.
That's no different than the shit that was on the Solana blockchain, right? It's the identical. Like I remember we had that talk when that bridge crashed, that bridge collapsed in Maryland. The next day, somebody. Oh, sorry, I'm getting some feedback on your computer. But yeah, the next day we had Solana coin. The bridge collapsed in Maryland. They had a coin for it. So I'm feeling we're on the same vibe for Polymarket stuff now. And all of the people are now talking on X about how to make a bunch of money on Polymarket. It's just shifted. And that makes me think like, yeah, like what's the next thing? Well, there's no more next things in my opinion. Like once you're betting on how Jerome Powell is going to open up his next speech, you're at peak retard. This is it. It doesn't get more. If you thought the .com bubble was speculative, this is the end. It's like when is Maduro gonna, what outfit is he gonna wear? What outfit is he gonna wear in the next picture of him in handcuffs? You can't get further than that in the speculative gambling casino of life. So I think that 2026 can have a major crash, but it will probably be some V-shaped recovery type situation and pushing up higher into 2027 and further.
Yeah, to wrap that up, the response is going to be massive for the next 14 years. So that's going to push things up. And this is necessary. It's mechanically necessary because the United States doesn't default on its debts. And we have a lot. And deficit spending, as you heard Trump, he's committed to doing a lot of it. So all that money is going to end up in the system because a control grid needs to be built because the system's falling apart. And they're not just going to not build a new system. They have been. That's what 2020 and 2021 was about. So on they go. And they will continue to use money from markets that go up.
They're not just going to build another
That's
system.
their game. That's the structure of their
I
game.
mean,
That doesn't mean that
they
you
are
get
just
to
going to
win
build
too.
another system.
And so that's why you talk about a lot of the pain and how people have shifted to the poly market. It's the same consciousness, just in a different vehicle. That vehicle is now poly market. It's
Oh yeah.
what's the quick way
And
for me
sports
to
betting. A lot of
solve
sports
this
betting
problem
going
that I
on
don't
right now.
fully understand.
Right.
Is that you're a hamster in a wheel that you don't see it.
Yeah, it's called avoiding mastery.
Well,
Yeah, just pick one thing. Like, guys, fidget spinners were like a trend in drop shipping like 100 years ago. I bet you if you were to just focus 110% of all your energy, you'll be the guy who brings back fidget spinners and becomes a fucking millionaire. Why? Because our world right now is trying to jump to the next thing. They're like vibe coding on Claude. Now I'm going to become this. It's like, no, you're never going to become anything but somebody who just keeps hopscotching to the next shiny object. And eventually, when you reach the end, sure, you'll make $1 million, but then you'll squander that trying to make up for the next trend, So it's this never ending hamster wheel. Yeah, it's funny. Like I call it the gerbil wheel I say it in my live streams all the time. Like, it's just people unfortunately are showing up to Halloween as a gerbil. And you don't have to do that, guys. You can make a conscious choice today. Listen, you can make a conscious choice today to suck for 100, 200, 300 days. But I guarantee you, when you stick through that and get 1% better each day, at the end of that year, like if you just committed this next year to being okay with sucking at something, you will become great at it. Instead of following what you believe someone is great at or what a great opportunity must be, trying to ride that wave for a fucking cultural moment and then watching the wave crash, and then you never even got good at the thing because your whole thing was trying to skip the process. There's no skipping process, guys. Like, there's no skipping process. So I think that's an important thing to discuss, like when it comes to the next bubble, because right now we're hearing talk. You've definitely heard it with, is AI a bubble? There's a lot of people that are like, there's no way AI is a bubble. Then there's a lot of people that are like, well, who cares? Like, just enjoy it, you know? So it's very divided, very dot-com bubble like, and we can't deny the importance of the dot-com bubble in our conversation today, because what was the dot-com bubble year? It was the year of the snake. So we had the year of the dragon into the year of the snake was like the major parts of that whole euphoria to depression, and also into the year of the horse technically too, with 2002. If you look at how the market looked back then, I mean, some of the now greatest companies in the fucking world were off 80% discount from the prior peak in 2000. So what's your take on that? Like the whole, is AI a bubble thing? Do you care? Are you preparing for it?
This is a market. This is market bubbles. That's what it does.
Right.
Those who know how it works is you get positioned before everybody else. You can make 100 to 1,000 X's if you do it properly, and then you just fucking rotate and you wait and you like that. That's what people used to do, or and are still trying to do in altcoins. Guess what? That's just a fractal of the whole system. It's all capital rotation, and that's when you get really good at what me and Waters are doing. That's why you end up looking at all these different markets, because you're trying to see like it's all interconnected, right? So fractal, right? There's also the fact that energy does not get created or destroyed. So the money's moving. The money's not just going poof. The money's pushing up gold and silver, right?
Right there, what he just said. Energy does not get destroyed. It just moves around. It does not get created or destroyed. Same thing with money. Your debt becomes their debt, becomes their debt, becomes their debt. You know what I mean? Just move it around, accept it and let it go.
Right now, right? And then
In my live streams all the time, like it's just people unfortunately are showing up to Halloween as a gerbil. And you don't have to do that, guys.
And you don't have
You
to
can
do
make
that,
a
guys.
conscious choice today. Listen, you can make a conscious choice today to suck for 100, 200, 300 days. Opportunity necessarily a lot of combo drag if you war. Do you care? Are you preparing for it?
this is a market. This market bubbles. That's what it does.
Right.
Those who know how it works is you get positioned before everybody else. You can make 100 to 1,000 X's if you do it properly, and then you just fucking rotate and you wait and you like that. That's what people used to do, or and are still trying to do in altcoins. Guess what? That's just a fractal of the whole system. It's all capital rotation, and that's when you get really good at what me and Waters are doing. That's why you end up looking at all these different markets, because you're trying to see like it's all interconnected, right? So fractal, right? There's also the fact that energy does not get created or destroyed. So the money's moving. The money's not just going poof. The money's pushing up gold and silver right now, right? And then because we're in a commodity super cycle for the long term, we're not in a crypto super cycle, guys. I'm sorry, and this is where some of the hard truths come into play that people,
Shots fired.
Jack,
Bang,
what's
bang,
up?
bang.
this is where people are gonna like. I've talked about these things, but they gloss over them because of the more bullish things that I say in talks. That Bitcoin is going to essentially be used as a Trojan horse for government shit. I've been saying this for years, and now here we are to where stable coins are directly linked to the United States Treasury to do what?
Yep.
Help them with their debt problem, because this whole thing is about the falling apart of all of these countries' debt problems. So that's what we're really living through. And life doesn't get better for everybody until we're on the other side of that. So again, that means some assets just for the rich go up so they can continue to borrow against them to build a control grid so that everything doesn't fall apart completely and those elite families stay in power, then that's what they're going to do. I know that's not nice to hear, but there are charts that I have seen where if you put gold compared to Bitcoin and the NASDAQ, gold has just began a massive, like it's beginning like a 6-7 year run where it's just going to beat everybody. Silver too. And there are real reasons for that, for the central banks across the world that are trying to separate themselves from the United States in this coming war drama that happens when financial issues occur. So that's a tough spot for crypto, particularly if you're not in the States, because Europe in particular, Europe doesn't want money leaving the European Union. And crypto's a great place to launder money. So those are other challenges from the government perspective of the side of things, where you're seeing it being pushed up by the United States government. That's caused a lot of bullishness, but because these countries are conflicting with each other, if the US is going to be pro-crypto, then some aren't going to be. And so, yeah, it's getting real complicated out there, and it's because of forces and things that are beyond just crypto, you guys. And that's why I like looking at all those things, to have a more comprehensive understanding of what's at play. Because eventually, the alts, like you already called it out, man, they're not going to work for everybody. If 2030 and this whole agenda is going to be put in place, then, like your mom, these boomers got to go broke. There's no money for them. So that's a tough spot where the whole country and all humanity is in, is when this group really.
He's like, it was my mom. It's my grandma, fool. I didn't say my mom was a boomer. That's. He's like, you didn't listen to me.
This group of boomers whom own all these stocks, assets, condos, second homes, third homes, have nobody to sell to.
Yep.
What happens to the general public? Is that the impetus for UBI that I've been probably so. Is that going to stop the government from pursuing AI and building a control grid? Probably not. So we could have a very dystopian world in which AI gets efficient enough to where, oh, they're cutting rates, but companies aren't hiring people. They're just using better AI. Oh, that's weird. Oh, well, let's invest in the companies. My portfolio's going up. Stop bitching about it. Here's UBI.
Yeah. It's a big reason why I don't get my prana to all like the economic data, even though I have people like on my side that are masters at it. That's again part of my like process, is like I'd rather just find people who are masters at something, and then that way I could avoid it and just stick to what matters most, you know, for me of course. But yeah, man, one of the things that I think is clear is that we're gonna have the Aquarian economy, and part of that we can entertain the concept of UBI, the how and the when and like the nuance. I think is something we could probably go back and forth on and philosophize about for hours, but I just don't feel good about where we're moving forward, because I know humans. I study humans. Big thing that I studied before I got into what I did was religions and cults. And if you study cults in particular, and people hear cults and they're like, oh, you mean like the Jonestown? Or no, if you're wearing a Patriots jersey and you're frothing at the mouth on Sunday night because the wide receiver missed the fucking pigskin, you are in a cult. Cults are everything. If you get offended when somebody talks about the carnivore diet, you're in the cult of the carnivore diet. Every one of us is in a cult. You should just learn how to become the leader of your own movement. And if you're not good at leading, then do it on your own. That's the story of Jesus. He was fucking epic. He just did his shit, and he was so damn fucking good at it that people started following. Like, just be great, you know? But he wasn't walking around with a sign being like, "Follow me, please." He just did it because when you know, and again, Jesus, for everybody who's unaware, is you, the body. It's the individual experience when you're jacked into the simulacrum. You are here to have that experience. Most choose to not have it because it's an insanely difficult journey to walk in, right? But the getting back to the cults thing and the studying humanity is I know humans. I know their behavior, the way that they get, the anxiety. My truth right now is that humans, for the most part, are amazing. They're very good. They mean well, but they're too nervous. And that nervousness creates an environment for the individual where they default to comfort and convenience and pleasure over facing the concept of pain, even if the concept is purely philosophical. Like, for example, most people listening to this, you do not have physical pain that you're dealing. Like, there's no missiles coming down at your village, but there are places in the world where that is the truth. That is the case. Because you watch the news and you get emotionally connected to that, you take on that essence, and that makes you nervous vicariously through what you observe, right? So you no longer are living your life. You're no longer even alive. You're existing. And this vessel here is stuck on like pressing the brake pedal when it could choose to just pivot over a couple degrees and press the gas. So that is why I think UBI is a very high likelihood of possibility before Agenda 2030, like, or at least it will be somewhere piloted and it will be going on in the quote unquote first world, just in sections. And I think Ireland just had a program that launched maybe like 2 months ago where they basically said, we're doing UBI. When I actually visited Dublin for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago, and there's a whole area of the most like the town center where it had a tarp over a huge building and it said 15-minute city coming soon. And I'm like, they're not even hiding this fucking shit. This is shit that we used to talk about 3-4 years ago, and we would be like banned for even bringing up the idea. Now you walk in Dublin and it's just a tarp, like massive, bro. Like I'm talking massive, covering the facade of an entire building. And it just says 15-minute city coming soon. If somebody in your community knows where this was or whatever, but it's like the main street in Dublin with all the bridges to connect you from the one side of the other. I saw it when I was walking past like some major museum. So they're not hiding what they want to do. They are just going to do it, but they need to engineer these things to occur. In my opinion, we don't need another 9/11 event anymore, though, because the war is going on in the individual already through this nervousness and through this defeat, right? And through this like inability to tap into your power and start doing something about what's coming. So that the easiest way out for most humans is to just take the check, right?
Yeah.
It's to just take the check. Like, you get laid off, and then AI has given you no second chance because what are they doing with the Uber and Lyft and Didi and all these other companies? They're going to be fully autonomous. If you study like what's the last resort for most of humanity, it's taxi driving. It's rideshare stuff. That's how people treated COVID. That's not a good fucking replacement. That's a very like checkers like maneuver in a chess game, you know? So I'm not Bobby Fischer, but I sure as hell am studying the big guy. Like when it comes to this, how to move through the realm. And I think we're at a point right now where, like I said at the very beginning of this conversation, I don't think this is going to be a very forgiving year for the people that haven't started to take this a little bit more seriously. And I think one of the most important ways to take this seriously is learn how to diversify and create a pie chart where like 33% of it or 66% of it even is invest in yourself, invest in your education, invest in creating a business, becoming an entrepreneur, tapping into other business owners, entrepreneurs, people you vibe with, people you share a vision with. And then that 33% or that 20% or whatever could be these speculative investments. Because until you learn how to trade, it's going to be very tough to live a life where 70% of your net worth is in stuff that has this type of volatility. You feel me? And yeah, so the ride share developments that I'm seeing happening are scary. Like if you go to San Francisco or Los Angeles, Waymo is everywhere. This is gonna be crazy when the robo taxis really hit. There's another company, I forgot the name of it, big autonomous vehicle company. Just yesterday they had some conference and they showed that they already partnered with Uber and Lyft. It's not Tesla.
So basically, what you're saying in very simple language is the pores are piling into something that Elon is going to rug pull here very shortly.
Yeah. I worry for humanity because I worry for humanity because there's no plan B here.
Yeah.
Like, and with C9
15-minute cities, which
exactly. So with
plan, so that's what we're talking about. Alternative plans, which take effort, which comes back to momentum. It's one of my favorite things to look at in markets. Is where is the momentum? Like right now, it's starting to pick up, which is kind of like where I like to be positioned, and to just watch and wait and let a fire really kickstart it, and then watch and see where it goes from there with other technicals and stuff like that. But what's concerning about where things are shifting with crypto and with AI and all of this is that the momentum is such that it's either going to be the only option or the easiest option to just take. And that's essentially what you're saying, where literally the last resort is going to be ripped away from people. And I'm saying the 401k is not going to be what it's looking like to start 2026 by the time 2028 is over for the people who have the most wealth in the world. So what does that world look like?
Yeah.
So very, very, very interesting deck for those who aren't ready. Very, very, very interesting deck of cards.
Yeah, and I feel bad. Like I feel bad talking about it, but it's like I feel also compelled because that's what the last year was for me talking about. That's what the year before that was for me talking about. And like I even when I came out with the university that I launched in literally this time last year, I put on the marketing website, I put bull runs don't last forever. That's the first fucking statement I wrote. So the whole energy about it was like, guys, I get that you're all excited about crypto. I talk about crypto. I educate about crypto. That's a big part of like what I do. But what I've noticed over the year, and I guess I'm fortunate enough to have this ability, but like the 2024 year, a lot of people who were like not super into crypto, but were more entrepreneurs, or they were visionaries, they had cool ideas. They were thinking about how to disrupt this like draconian fucking new world order hellscape that's being unraveled. And a lot of them were very wealthy people, and they're like, people aren't taking what you're saying as seriously as they take the crypto stuff. And that made me reminisce and go, oh, well, there's a bigger mission here. Like, and I need to take that mission more seriously. Because although I know TA, I know how to decode markets, this, down the third, but like, I don't want to be stuck in this technocratic world. Like, I don't want to be, I want to do something that I believe is quote unquote a solution to this UBI and all that other stuff. So that's why I'm like willing to risk and make people uncomfortable with the fact that I've been studying what AI development is going to be, autonomous vehicles, and everybody that got these rideshare jobs, they're gone soon. Like I think by 2027, there will be no fucking need for these companies, which control you, by the way. There will be no need for them to give you money when they could just invest in the tech and all of these cars and create a fleet, and then only invest in that. And then I know the playbook. Wait till it's at airports. Wait till no human taxi driver is ever allowed ever again to drive you home from an airport. That's end game. Because once they do that, then every sports stadium will do it. Or who cares about the order in which it happens? Just pay attention to what I'm teaching you. There's going to be a world where there will be a private zoning around any facility, and they will effectively make a rule which says you as a human cannot drive in this area. And they will come up with a PSYOP just like they did with 9/11 regarding safety, the PSYOP they did with C-19 regarding safety. And when they really want to escalate this, what they'll do is they'll just create more car crashes. They'll create more cars exploding. They'll make it seem that humans are irresponsible, dangerous retards.
Are you listening yet? Thank you.
And then that will allow them to continue their chess game. So the people that are believing that this rideshare thing is forever, it's forever, but just not with a human manning the ship. So that's the start. Then it will become pretty much a ripple effect across every industry, and they're not hiding it. The one thing I will say, though, to wrap up that idea is I am not worried as much when I hear like how do I say this? Because I want to not sound like I'm inconsistent here, but you ever see Diary of a CEO or like any of these other huge podcasts?
Yeah, every now and then, sure.
They just show up on my algorithm. Like it's like the fucking New World Order's like making sure I see it. So like I do see too much doom and gloom content around AI. Like there are a lot of people that are like 90% of jobs will be wiped out in 2027. And as a contrarian, and I know you're similar, the more I see that stuff, I'm like, ooh, so I gotta slow down. Like I also have to check in with myself about my my analysis. I don't want to be too doom and gloom, but I also feel like I can't remove that image of walking past Dublin City and seeing that tarp covering this whole building saying 15-minute city coming soon. Like that was like 2 years ago, man. Like I can't undo that. So with the timing of things, what do you think with like, are you somebody who believes that the fires in Los Angeles were to push forward with like the Olympics that's going to happen in 2028 in Los Angeles and how that's probably going to have 15-minute cities prepared for it? You know, like, do you see any of that kind of shit, or do you think this is all conspiracy?
There's always operations going on, and the whole game is for people to think that there aren't, and that those who talk about it are just theorizing about conspiracy. This is basic art of war. You don't want to be direct about these things. It wastes too much time, energy, and resources to just flat out fight people. So you psyop them and you lie. You can be masculine up front, or you can be feminine and manipulative. Pick one. And the government chooses the latter because it's cheaper, it's smoother, it's cleaner. And when I say the government, I mean governments for thousands of millennia. And I mean thousands of millennia, not just the two that happened after the
Right.
zero. But like this stuff is very old. It's propaganda. If there are conspiracies. Conspiring is just a group of humans. And the thing is, like, if you think about how consciousness works and momentum, there's a group of wealthy people paying some of you who are watching this to build the grid that you're going to end up in. And the momentum of that means it eventually gets built and you eventually get shoved in it, unless you exert some free will and shift the direction of the momentum of where things are headed, which is not easy.
Yeah.
Which is why the path of least resistance for many is going to be in the cage you go. And we have visceral proof that that's what people are going to do. It hit me in the head in 2020 of like, you guys are really wearing masks? You guys are really standing 6 feet apart? They're telling you this is the most viral, deadly thing in the air. Like, what is standing 6 feet going to do? What is this mask going to do? Like, we should be dropping dead, or this is bullshit. And I'm still here. and just to see like, oh, and I don't know if the statistic was true, but that 70% went down that path, and now there's all this talks, you know, in DC about, oh, maybe it was bad or maybe it wasn't as good, and it's just like, really, like, how many times does humanity need to keep going through this? And for me, it's just, I don't want to say I smile at it because that's not what I do. It's like I get it, you know, like read, just look at history and you see that this happened with many pharmaceuticals that these same companies have given to Americans in the past, and you go, oh, that was just 20 years ago. Wait a minute, they had something 10 years ago that was more quiet. And wait, 5 years ago, oh, and 2 years ago they had a lawsuit for this, and oh, they pay fines and they end up still ahead in profit. And when you just do a little digging and thinking, you go, oh, this has always kind of been happening. And so you go, well, if this is what's been going on and human beings don't know this and they live and they die, then these things are just going to repeat themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the lifespan is what? Some people die in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I've had friends who are no longer here already, younger, some older than me. Right? So sometimes these lessons don't get passed on.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that happened with inflation in the 70s and 80s that are going to be very shocking to people.
Yeah.
About the 2030s, because they simply didn't live through it. I didn't live through the 70s, but right. I've spoken to people who have. Some of them mentor me about, here's what happened in the market, here's what I did when I was on the trading floor, and blah blah blah. And you had to hang up the phone at 5 o'clock and you went to bed and all this. I'm like, we got crypto going on 24/7. It was a different world then. But to hear those perspectives and to understand, like, oh, their cycles to these things are very important. And the fact that honestly, just a lot of people aren't aware of that means these things do repeat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What's really sad is seeing things that happened a couple of years ago about the repeat. It's like, come on, you were alive for 2020 and 21. So that is where whatever we end up moving into next, I hope that there's more awareness and a different response. But again, momentum is the law of the universe. And so unfortunately, some people are just going to end up in that box. And so the reason Waters and I are even saying what we're saying is we don't want to end up in that box. We don't want those we love and those who are watching this to end up there. So momentum has to shift now, not in 2019, not in 2029 December, or close to the end, right? You got to start shifting your trajectory so that the 1% shifts add up by 2029.
Пацаны, что у вас там за херня?
Yeah, man. So well said. And sorry if I feel like I'm very doom and gloom today, but it's a new year, man. And I feel like we just gotta sage the room with truth, but also at the same time, as I said, I think like these things take time, and just getting motivated and inspired to do something about the inevitable, that's all, that's really all. There's so many things going on that people get excited about, and then I just question, like, why are you leaking energy into that? Like a good example would be this change in the jab schedule from like 72 down to 11, and then Trump getting all this prana for it. And I'm like, do you guys forget Operation Warp Speed? Same guy. Wake up. You don't, like, one of the funniest things, have you seen these clips of like Joe Biden being racist, like back in like the 80s and 90s? Like they're just straight.
Oh yeah.
And it's like people, and then like the liberal people who are calling themselves that, and then believing that he had to become president again. And I'm like, guys, when he was saying this racist shit, he was like 50. Like, you don't like, you don't like go from 50 to 60 and you start becoming unracist. Like, I'm sorry, like,
if anything,
it just ages like fine wine. Yeah, like, so I'm sitting here like looking at. Wake up. You don't, like, one of the funniest things, have you seen these clips of like Joe Biden being racist, like back in like the 80s and 90s? Like they're just straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like people, and then like the liberal people who are calling themselves that, and then believing that he had to become president again. And I'm like, guys, when he was saying this racist shit, he was like 50. Like you don't like you don't like go from 50 to 60 and you start becoming unracist. Like, I'm sorry, like
If anything.
like if anything, it just ages like fine wine.
Double down.
Yeah, like so I'm sitting here like looking at these people and I'm like,
Like,
listen to Trump talk about crypto.
So, as students of psychology, it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, like so
Here's
okay,
the
so
mind, here's the mind just running that doesn't know how it's operating.
Сюда, сюда,
It's
крепает метод,
you are
парни!
running into what is called cognitive dissonance, which for those of us who wake up, that should be a uh-oh, I'm experiencing cognitive dissonance here. What trick is my mind playing with me? Because when we run into cognitive dissonance, it's something we don't want to identify with
Чётко ты, чётко.
is being
Пойдёшь,
triggered or
пацан.
attacked.
Yeah.
The reality is, we're all sparks of consciousness in the great mind of this program. So you don't have to identify as a liberal this or a Republican that because you're seeing something that challenges that identity. You're more than that identity.
you're right, exactly.
People don't. You haven't gone past cognitive dissonance yet in cognitive bias. Like the man's a fucking like you can still be your little Democrat liberal self and hold the two ideas that this guy who I voted for as a Democrat is actually another old racist white guy. Like the two things can be true. You can still be true. And realize that and be disappointed. You feel that it's wrong. And then let it go, move on.
That's the fucking skill right there. Like every time you get disappointed or you feel like you have pain, remind yourself the pain leaves when it's done teaching you. Like this matrix is designed to disappoint you. That is the best thing you'll ever get is disappointment. It's not here to, oh man, you had one of my favorite quotes ever actually, like 2 podcasts ago, or said you said like, who promised you this experience will be comfortable?
Yeah.
I love that, bro. That's so fire. That like is exactly how I feel when I hear people complaining about like being bamboozled. It's like you're here to be bamboozled. Like you're here to join a cult, have it like rip every piece of you to like shreds in every way, shape, and form to make you better. Like you were here to find religion, then you're here to find a cult, then you're here to go through your rock bottom into the darkest pit ever, and then that is when the wings sprout from your back. When you face all of those things, and then guess what? You might start flying again, and like Sisyphus, you get like greedy, and then you'll fall back into a cult. And guess what? You just take what you learned from the last experience, you apply, and you break free from that like doom programming, and then you keep going. Like life is dope when you look at it that way because it's a simulation. You're the designer of your reality. You get to adjust the conditions accordingly. Like the way that I could adjust the volume of my microphone, that is the way you could adjust your present moment. That is it. So yeah, I know we were very doom and gloom today, but I think also there's some super inspiring and enlightening truths that were sprinkled throughout this. And like, man, we have to make this more regular because there's clearly so many other things we could talk about. We have like music shit to talk about that we haven't really gone deep into. We have health and wellness stuff to talk about that clearly we could definitely talk a lot more about too. So many market things. I'm actually I gotta say this, like every morning when I wake up, I practice gratitude, right? And this isn't for everybody, but I used to look at that like, oh, that's like woo woo, you know, like that's bullshit. But now I wake up every day and I see so many haters in my world, you know, because I'm a content creator and I have whatever, like 300,000 people following me. So that's going to create that like tension. And for 2025, I promise, like, I want to just be grateful for all of it. You know, like I know that it's going to come my way, but it's like I asked for this. Like I asked for this. So wherever you guys are at, like on this journey, you know, like if there was some things that felt offensive today, like it's there to, if you're feeling something, that's a good thing, first of all. Like if you're feeling things, that's a very good thing. I know your audience though is tapped in, so this isn't me making an assumption, and my audience is the same. Like they know my vibe. They know it's just the sound a session. But
Чё там у вас?
I
Импортные,
do
что ли,
also
тоже?
want to say, and
Нормас.
this isn't to be disrespectful to anybody who supports my art or yours, just supporting and vibing is one thing, but actually making change in your life and actually doing the work is another thing. And 2025, I think people came up with way too many excuses to like not do something about the problem. And I do want to remind people, like, this is not another year to make those excuses, like, at all. This is a year to set the conditions. Like, as I said, you change the volume knob accordingly. Like, when you're texting on a phone, you are literally coding it with word spells and language. You're already a magician. How do you not realize what you're doing? Every word you speak.
Чётко ты, чётко.
So
Пойдёшь,
adjust
пацан.
those to work in a framework that you design rather than the one that's designed for you, which we spoke about all day. I guess the final thing I'll say on that is like, although I worry for humanity in those ways, it's like I'm not worried about my people. I'm not worried about my situation. Like I'm fucking inspired. And I practice gratitude every day. And I'm like, I know whatever shows up that feels like tension or feels like fear or feels like pain, it's like I need that, like a cold plunge.
I've had some useful reframes around that quote you just mentioned that hit me recently differently. And it's looking at it like the sense of like there are good days and there are hard days, not bad days. Right. So that's a useful reframe in the sense of like that is how I should be looking at it. Like growth is hard. But if you're not here to grow through the experience of being human, you might as well just end it.
Вообще норм,
Sorry if
красава.
that's harsh, but the growth is where the fulfillment really comes through, and growth is not necessarily without pains and some hardness to it. We've all, whether it's literal growing pains through puberty or the growth of being in the gym or any type of growth, really, growing a business. You don't grow to 300,000 followers without another
земляк, мы
300,000
стрелять не хотим,
people,
мы
if not
так
more.
наблюдаем.
I don't like this guy. In fact, I fucking hate this guy. Right? And some of those end up in your comment section. That's part of growth.
100%.
Being able to look at it as easy and hard versus good and bad, because the mind's default is good and bad. And that's part of this matrix or paradigm or whatever, how you call it, and maybe who you're exposed to and around. And maybe you might need to unplug that. Maybe that might be part of your own individual process. Maybe not. Maybe you're already beyond that. But instead of looking at it as good and bad, it's really, again, your reality, your playground to play with. And there are weather patterns to it, which you can look at using water system, my system, building your own, but knowing that these things will change and the current behind you or the environment you're in might be a little bit easier or a little bit more challenging to deal with, but you're the constant.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's super powerful. I feel like one of the things that I've done is I've looked back at my childhood and I asked like, why did they set up games to be where you can choose easy, medium, difficult, and like, you feel me? So this is to like add to what you're saying and to like for us to have just like a a super conscious conversation about like they kind of want us setting the difficulty. They put this in the hands of children. Like they want to give you, and like what's funny is like you beat a game on easy, right? And then what do you want to do? You want to beat it on medium. And then what do you want to do? You want to beat it on hard. And then like who's the most praised? Like the people who could beat it on the most difficult mode. And then there's people who could beat it on the most difficult mode without making mistakes. And then there's people who could beat it on the most difficult mode fast. Like you can see people seriously. There's people out there that they do run throughs of like the original Mario. Like they just kill that shit. It's like one of the hardest games ever. But like they just run through the whole thing. Guys, like they gave you a gift by letting you have video games because this is one. Like Kanye said this. He's like, we're in Grand Theft Auto. I hear people that call this a prison planet, and I'm like, yeah, that's because you believe it's Grand Theft Auto.
It's a freaking game, dude.
So
I
you
freaking
create
told
like this whole thing,
ya!
this
Everybody,
violence. It's
fucking
being
yeah.
a prisoner. Like my dad's a prison. My dad went to jail pretty much for like most of his life. I know what a prisoner type vibe is. Somebody who rather like get fed in jail than earn food in real life, you know? That mentality is fucking crazy to me. Like I don't resonate with that at all. I rather learn how to grow my own food, you know? But I can't feel bad for him because I'm like his video game that he wants to play is that. And I don't care about any judgment or whatever. I'm just being vulnerable. Like I see around me that most people don't even realize like, okay, just play easy mode for now. But then turn it to medium and then and then you'll see like you're gonna suck at hard mode, you know? And I'm not gonna pretend like my version of life is hard. Like I see people out there that I'm like, what the fuck was Steve Jobs up to?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. If I've accomplished what I've accomplished, like, Jesus. This guy was like a billionaire at like 23 or some shit. Like, unbelievable progress. And then we look back at his life and we're like, oh, well, he was an asshole. It's like, are we really going to do that? You're bypassing all the shit he did and you're looking at it like the energy that he delivered it in is the only thing that it's like never playing the game because you know there's a final boss at the end of the level. That's the whole point. Right now, your final boss might be your wife. Your final boss might be your real boss. Your final boss might be a client that you have. Your final boss might be cancer. You feel me? Like it's going to show up in like all these ways. So, but you remember, like you're setting the difficulty. You're the one that sets the conditions. And if somebody else wants to set your conditions for you, you have to take a step back and you have to observe and be like, well, is this person here for my expansion or is this person here to make me in contraction? I believe everybody should be fully aware that any 3-letter agency is here to keep you in a consistent contractive mode. Just nervous. High blood pressure, nervous, like they're treating you like that because they're testing you. That's all. And they're getting away with the test at scale. Just like Apple is getting away with the test at scale. Just like ChatGPT is getting away with the test at scale. We're just in an experiment. So like, I'm actually super motivated by that. And I don't know why that discourages people. I'm like, I think that's the most motivating thing ever. There's cheat codes to this video game, bro. Like you're listening to the cheat code, right? Like you're listening to one of the cheat codes right now.
I'll say this, man, like if this type of stuff is the first exposure to what you're saying, the initial reaction is probably going to be emotional. And
yeah.
Probably like, fuck this guy. What is this stuff? You know, because that makes it very insidiously just uncomfortable enough to keep going rather than it being like a constant 2020 smack in the head. Like,
yeah, it's like the frog,
fuck your
right?
job,
Like,
fuck you. Like it's not like that every day. Like,
yeah, I
if
think
it
it's
were,
like
I think it would be more of like, hey man, what the hell? And people would respond.
Well, they did that to everybody in March of 20, right? Smacked us all hard, like backhand. What you're now they call like the boiling frog. Like it's just like it's like on
100%.
yeah, we're like in a preheating oven.
Frog is the default, and people get comfortable with that to where I got pushed off the fence in 2020. My response was like, I'm not doing this. You're not talking to me this way. I'm not wearing that. This is not happening. You guys with me? Oh, you're not. whoa, you guys are really doing this. All right, bye. Like that was,
Yeah.
you know, and that's not happening every day. It's not supposed to happen every day. It's supposed to, again, be a slow boiling.
Yep.
Slow. Something's not quite right, but I'm still.
But bro, you know what I gotta admit though? I do feel that way often. Actually, though, what you just said, I feel that way a lot, and it's not because like of an anxiety or because like that's what got me here. Bro, you're the same dog. Like you're the same. The 9/11 shit happened. You probably had the same moment where you were like, "Guys, are you seeing it?" And they're like, "No, I don't see it." And you're like, "Here's the glasses I'm wearing," and you're like, "But I can't see it." And I'm like, "Wait, okay."
So the trick
So you-
then becomes there's this like fine line between and there's a saying for if you are a conscious being at all, if you're a mammal with the spark of God in you, you stay there for a little bit. It's not like that doesn't happen. If you're one of these clones or robots, that doesn't happen. But if you have the spark of the divine, you go, what should I? But I just saw like, huh? And I didn't let go of that. I think all of us as children had that, and I think a lot of us let go of that. And I think
yeah, we all have that as kids, and they want to deprogram that out of you with the jabs and all the other bullshit they're doing to children. So I mean, it's just like it is what it is. But like, there's still always an escape room. Like, there's always like an exit.
always, yeah.
There's always an exit, and yeah, like I feel I'm inspired by being a lone wolf. Like I think being a lone wolf is my default mode, but that's why over the past 3 to 4 years I had to integrate some great people into my life because I can make it out there alone, you know? And I don't think we're alone. I just have the code to where I'm inspired and motivated being alone. Most people are not. So I also realize that, and that's a big part of my teachings, is like we're not alone. We're all one. And that's the awareness, is that I was just, I guess, whatever. I don't want to say it's luck, but like during those moments where I saw people were in this like haze getting hypnotized, I saw sight clear. Like I had clear vision. The fucking hardest part is believing in yourself. It's going, oh, I know that I'm gonna turn right when everyone's going left, and now nobody's gonna be able to be there when my tire goes flat. But it's like, then fucking learn to change tires, motherfucker. Like, learn how to do your shit. Like, stop taking year by year by year because you just think there's always gonna be somebody to show up to help you. Like, stop. And that's why I worry about the AI stuff, because people are never gonna learn what I just said. And I'm obviously not talking.
The blame game and go, the government was supposed to protect me.
Exactly.
Like, that's a lie.
They're not here to protect you. Look at the name. Their name is government.
Exactly.
Governare mente. It means mind control. Like, they're not here to do anything to preserve you necessarily. Definitely not in your strength. But they are also not here to eliminate you, because the clear pill is you are their food. Why would they get rid of their, like, you think the lions want to eat all the hyenas? No. They let some of them procreate on the sidelines because they're like, that's my future 3-course meal that I'll have. That's all we.
But this is why there's ceasefires. There's enough technology, they've proven. They got rid of like 70% of a group of people very quickly. Yeah. You couldn't do the other 30? You couldn't do the other 30? Yeah, you could. But you don't want to eat, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
there always needs to
hard
be.
to say that if that's.
No, yeah, no.
Just reality.
That'll offend people who want to be offended. Like, the truth is that like everybody who's in a position of power is left with the opportunity to control and keep a controlled system, or to allow a liberated system. There is no there, but they can't do that on a global scale because of consciousness where it sits. And guys,
I don't games with consciousness that happen at that level, which is the difference between what's going on with the global collective, which is kind of not real, right? Like, I can't control what's happening in some corner of China.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Like, there's no missile landing in your village if you're on the internet right now. Like, you know.
But if I go to a local farmer's market and I buy some food and it's not good, and I go there next week, I'm real, and you're seeing me again, and I'm like, what's up with this? It's very different.
Yeah.
So, we're on to
Yeah,
something.
man. I mean, I think we should also probably wrap this up soon. I got something around.
Yeah, man. Always good catching up with you. Like you said, we should definitely do more of these, and I'm sure we will. But until the next one, hope you all are well and safe and use this information to empower you. Again, it's data that's coming your way for a reason. Use it, play with it, dance with it, make the best out of your experience because it's ultimately yours. Whatever happens to Walter's portfolio and his life from here on out, if whatever he ends up doing, you still have your own journey to walk, right? And so in that way, your journey is yours and it requires some work. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come into this 3D to be dealing with that. And in that way, it should be exciting. Is I have a work of my own to do that can be very beautiful. And that should be inspiring in itself. And that's really what we're talking about here. You know, that's the artist in all of us. And you need to make art, make love, play with your life, your version of your problems, your version of where you're stuck, whether it's financial, emotional, relational, career, all those things. They're yours, you know, and they're not gonna get any better if you shy from them. You know, you could resist them, you could brace yourself, or you could embrace it. But at the end of the day, it's yours to deal with. So hopefully this helps that make that easier. Be well to you. One love. Peace.
When they
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'd be listening to. And honestly, that's the kind of stuff that keeps me sane. Because everything's alright. You just gotta focus on you. I have to focus on I. And then we can create our own community. And if you already have some kind of support, lean into it. Use your resources because you never know who can help you in what way they can. You just don't. You just don't. All right. Enjoy this Tarkov. Bam! We're gonna get this dorm. I'm going to the dorm. I'm trying to get.
Go, I'm covering.
I'm trying to get into the dorm so I can use these keys. I gotta go to 114, 110, and then I'm just gonna, do it. Do it to it, Lars. Do it to it, Lars. Alright, we gotta go. Y'all. Alright, where we going? We're going this way. Cutting through the forest. Really trying to go this way though. Alright, so I got a lot of ammo. We're gonna see if me having infinite ammunition is useful. Setting up the hotkeys, setting up the hotkeys. What? Is Anthony here right now? What? Is he here right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Alright, just hang it. Alright, it's time to go. Anthony's here. So I don't get to see what I'm gonna do. But we'll be alright.
Take cover!
Well, he's right on time, so.
Cover up with something!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be leaving. Good night. This has been Ridiculous TV. I hope you enjoyed Sama and Waters Above, like I have. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go hang out with my brothers and my family right now. Okay? I'm gonna go have a dinner party. I'll catch you later. Good night. Have a great day. And love everything you do today. All right? Just do that. All right? Do it. I'm Ridiculous TV.